deferring and you're expecting to have a chance to double up, so to speak. That's what changes the game. The middle 8 of the game, we haven't played well in the second 4.
Colts Steelers. Let's take a look at both teams in this matchup. See, Rodgers and the Steelers have a 48% chance to win their division, the AFC North, according to ESPN Analytics. That's the best of any team in the AFC North. Meanwhile, the Colts have a 45% chance to earn the number 1 seed and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. That is the highest of any team in the AFC. So, Dan, what is more likely? The Colts finishing this season as the number 1 seed in the AFC, or the Steelers holding on and winning the AFC North?
Yeah, I'm going to say the Colts as the 1 seed. One, I think offensively, it's probably the second hardest offense in the league just to match up with people-wise. I'm going to give it to Kansas City because Kansas City's Kansas City and Rashid and Travis and Xavier. But when you come to like this Colts offense, you look like, okay, I'll ask you guys this. Guess what wide receiver leads the NFL in yards per catch?
Alec Pierce?
Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce is going over 22 a catch. So you got to have, and he's 6'3", 6'4". So you got to have someone that got to match up with him and then match up with Pittman and match up with Tyler Warren and match up with Downs. By the way, one of the most athletic offensive lines in the NFL, led by Quentin Nelson. Then a back that stop-start is absolutely sensational. So this offense ain't going to clip a beat. Right now, this offense is averaging 7 yards per play. 7 yards per play would put them in a conversation halfway through the season with like greatest show on turf.
Slow down.
That's what they are. That's where they are numbers-wise halfway through the season. That's how good this offense is. And schematically, I know MK and Ryan would agree with me, it's probably schematically the most complete football team in the NFL when it comes to like the ability to just be so game plan specific. And so I don't think the Colts are really going to slow down. We know they're in a division that is relatively weak. Houston's offense is not nearly as good as their defense. Tennessee's in absolute turmoil, and Jacksonville's been a little bit up and down lately. I still think the Steelers have a very specific way to play. So if they can play that way offensively, they're going to be fine. But I don't think Indy's going to slow down anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it doesn't even matter how the Pittsburgh Steelers play on offense. Yeah, they do have a particular brand of ball that suits them, but you just got to be better on the defensive side of the ball.
Do you think they can?
And I'm watching that game, and one of the more frustrating plays, and this is, I know Marcus joked with you about the Tucker Kraft tape, but you should have showed that, right? We think about, he goes in motion, Deshaun Elliott's following him. They just counting the numbers. They get the football out. No one's running to the ball.
Right.
There's no effort. There's no strain. That's an issue.
Right.
And when you watch the Colts defensively, Lou Anarumo was an outcast, right? Lou Anarumo took the blame for what goes on in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
They're replacing players that get knocked out pregame just running around.
Yeah.
And they're finding ways to make stop. And you talked about the completeness or the total offensive packages that they got. It's also the way this team complements one another. And complementary football isn't just offense plays well, defense plays well, special team plays well. They play in a way where the defense feeds the offense feeds the defense. The special teams does the same thing. I have much more faith that they can have the number 1 seed than the Pittsburgh Steelers winning the AFC North, which is sad because the North isn't even good right now.
Yep.
I 1,000% agree with you.
Wow.
First of all, I think Indy could win the number 1 seed, period. I don't need to throw the Steelers into the equation to even throw it up as a potential debate. There is no debate here. I don't see them beating the Indianapolis Colts this weekend. Wouldn't surprise me if they lost to Baltimore after that. I'm looking at a Steelers defense that is relatively non-existent. It's so bad in Pittsburgh defensively right now. We don't even want to mention the word steel curtain. We don't even want to mention it. It hurts our feelings. It hurts our feelings. I mean, it really does. It's just the truth. And so when I look at Jonathan Taylor running that football, when I look at Daniel Jones throwing that football, when I look at Steichen and that offense and what they bring to the table, total offense, scoring offense, and the way that they have been balling, there's no doubt in my mind that the Indianapolis Colts have a significantly better chance of ending up with the number 1 seed than the Steelers have of winning the AFC North.
Mina?
I'll make it a clean sweep. I agree. The Colts are, to me, just an absolute juggernaut right now. Dan, we went back and forth a little bit about Dallas and whether their defense is historically bad. We agree that this offense has the potential to be historically good. Right now, they are on pace to average the fewest punts per game in NFL history. I mean, they score a touchdown or field goal every time they get into the red zone. They're so balanced. They're so good at running the football. They challenge you. Daniel Jones is throwing all over the field. He's throwing deep. He's throwing under pressure. The skill players are unbelievably hard to match up with. And the defense, as we've been discussing, is very, very good at individual game planning. And it's kind of honestly remarkable if you compare them to Pittsburgh, right? Because on paper, you could argue that Pittsburgh actually has more talent on defense in that front seven, but the Colts appear to be better coached and more difficult to match up with. The flip side of this question, since we have brought the Steelers into it, is do we believe the Ravens can jump them, right?
Yes.
I 100% think the Ravens can jump them. Their schedule is so soft. The offense is finally healthy. And the defense, while they've been bad, really bad, we're starting to see some improvement with some personnel changes, and I wouldn't be surprised if they continue adding. So I think the Colts have a good chance at this, and I think the Ravens do win the AFC North.
You know, also, too, Pete, I mean, to cut you, but Tyler Warren is one of the best offensive players in the entire NFL.
He's a first-team All-Pro as a rookie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, you can't mention what that offense is doing, even Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor, without thinking about the ways Shane Steichen utilizes Tyler Warren.
Yeah. And just, he's a big, strong hand, contested catch guy.
Yak.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I made that face is because we haven't seen him on primetime. Like, a lot of us are watching the Colts on, like, maybe, to be honest, on red zone, and you see, like, a couple highlights, and you see these film breakdowns, or you see these gaping holes, and you're like, okay, I guess that's good. They haven't had that premier game. This is a game against a premier team in the Steelers. I think a lot of people are going to be watching. Yeah. The 99 Rams, they came from out of nowhere also. So this could be a good comparison.
There's a little bit of a cast-off quarterback.
Cast-off?
Here we go.
Consistently elite enough to overcome a historically poor performing defense.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think what Mina said at the top of this is the most important. Brian Schottenheimer deserved this job, and he's earned the right to continue to do this job, even with this defense playing at the poor level they're playing at. And then, you know, we gave him a hard time when he talked about the difference in Cincinnati last year and Dallas, because they also had a poor defense last year. You could hang your hat on Joe Burrow playing at that level week in and week out. You could do the same for T. Higgins. You could do the same for Jamar Chase. The ups and downs of the Dallas Cowboys offense is what makes you a little bit skeptical about, even if they go out and get a playmaker, which you need more on defense, could this team be good enough to make a run to the playoffs? And I just don't think they can. The problem that I saw against the Chicago Bears and also against the Denver Broncos, though, is that sometimes this defense is so poor, they put Dak and this offense at a disadvantage because now you take Javonte Williams out of the play.
That's
right?
fair.
Out of play. You can't give him the ball. You can't consistently run. And to me, that's when we've seen Dak's play take a step back.
First things first.
Let's go.
When it comes to Brian Schottenheimer, allow me to say this. You know, the man got the job. Obviously, Jerry Jones was perceived as taking the shortcut or whatever. I can't believe this. I'm actually a fan of Brian Schottenheimer.
Let's go.
Totally.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm actually a fan of his.
Totally.
I mean, I genuinely like him. You know, when you think about somebody like a Wade Phillips, for example, he was a likable guy as your head coach, a good man, you know, which obviously he had the right pedigree with his dad and all of this other stuff. But at the end of the day, you knew something was missing. You don't get that whatever's missing from the Dallas Cowboys is because of Brian Schottenheimer. You got that with Jason Garrett. You did. Let's just call it what it is. Doing a good job on NBC. Congratulations, not knocking them. But when he was there, you thought something was missing from the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, how many times you just gonna applaud no matter what's going wrong with y'all? That ain't what we seeing from Brian Schottenheimer. What we're seeing from Brian Schottenheimer was some things we saw from Marty Schottenheimer. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, listen, we all know that Marty Schottenheimer was a hell of a coach. Was a hell of a coach, okay?
When you look at the needs of the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into the stretch run of the 2025 season, one name steadily keeps resurfacing: Rashid Shaheed. This is a story of speed, explosion, opportunity, and quite possibly a game-changing move for a franchise whose window is open and demanding action now. Shaheed, currently of the New Orleans Saints, embodies exactly the kind of field-stretching threat Pittsburgh has lacked. According to advanced metrics, Shaheed ranked among the top 5 wide receivers in the league last season for average depth of target, ADOT, and deep target rate. He and Christian Watson were the only receivers with a 14.0 plus yard ADOT and 2.0 plus yards per route run. That kind of explosiveness is data-backed, not just hype. From his profile, undrafted in 2022 from Weber State University, Shaheed has already shown he can flip a game with a single play. He's logged 88-yard touchdowns, broken long plays, and served as a dynamic return man in his career. In 2024, before meniscus injury ended his season after 6 games, he was posting career highs in yards per catch, 17.5, average depth of target, 17.6, and targets per game, 6.8. In 2025, despite challenges with consistency and a quarterback situation that isn't ideal, he has still produced. Stats show 30 receptions for 356 yards and 2 touchdowns through his first 7 games with an 11.9-yard average. He also had a massive 87-yard touchdown against the Giants on October 5th, 2025. If you're the Steelers and you've got one shot to add a game breaker opposite DK Metcalf and to give Aaron Rodgers a true vertical weapon, Shaheed suddenly belongs on your radar. Why it makes sense for Pittsburgh? The case stacks in favor of the Steelers right now. They have a clear need in their passing game. Rodgers needs more than one elite receiver. The offense has lacked a true number 2 deep threat to open up the field. Pittsburgh's divisional path is doable. With the Bengals, Ravens, and Browns all having questions, the Steelers are positioned to push. A move like this adds urgency and momentum. Shaheed is in contract limbo. He's on an expiring deal with New Orleans, and the Saints appear to be willing sellers. One recent piece noted the Saints could trade Shaheed because he sits on an expiring contract, and it doesn't seem like the Saints are going to re-sign him this offseason. The timing of the trade deadline is near. With the deadline looming, November 4th, 2025, the Steelers must act if they're serious about upgrading now rather than waiting for next year. So what could happen and what it costs? What might such a trade look like? The earlier article on Steelers deadline trades suggested Pittsburgh could receive WR Rashid Shaheed and a 2026 fifth-round pick and send back a 2026 third-round pick. That was a speculative value package. From New Orleans' standpoint, they're rebuilding or at least resetting, and if they believe Shaheed won't stay long-term, getting draft capital makes sense. For Pittsburgh, you're buying a potential vertical weapon, big play upside, someone who changes how defenses have to defend you. If Shaheed stays healthy and Rodgers locks in, this becomes more than just a depth add. It becomes a missing piece. Possible concerns and why they're manageable? Yes, there are caveats. Shaheed missed most of 2024 with injury, meniscus. The Saints' quarterback situation and offensive instability temper his output. But for the Steelers, a calculated risk now may avert a lingering regret later. With Rodgers' window closing, you don't want to wait. Also, chemistry and scheme fit are important, but Pittsburgh already has a 1,000-yard receiver in DK Metcalf and an offense oriented towards Rodgers' strengths. Adding a deep threat like Shaheed gives the offense dimension. Stretching defenses vertically opens up underneath routes, tight ends, run game play action. It serves the whole scheme. The bigger picture and conclusion. Here's the bottom line. If the Steelers execute this trade, they send a message. This is no rebuild, this is a push. It says Rodgers and the core are here for one more run. It says Pittsburgh sees the AFC North as theirs to take. It says fans deserve ambition. Rashid Shaheed gives the Steelers what they've lacked: elite game-breaking speed, the ability to take the top off a defense, and a contract structure that aligns with urgency. The defense still needs work, we know that, and there are hours to make up, but offenses win championships, and offenses need weapons. Pittsburgh has the foundational talent, they just need the piece. So yes, I believe this move could tilt the balance. I believe Shaheed coming to Pittsburgh could turn a good Steelers team into a genuine contender. The door is open. Now is the moment. Steelers Nation, I want to know what you think. Do you believe that the Steelers should pull the trigger and bring in Rashid Shaheed? Do you believe he fits here and can change the offense? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you're with me in believing this is the kind of swing move that changes outcomes, hit that like button. And if you haven't yet, join us to Steelers Nation Wire, because we're going all in this season and you don't want to miss a single play-by-play. Let's ride together.